the Warm Audio WA-2A tube optical compressor. This is a classic two-knob compressor that's designed to replicate a vintage Teletronics LA-2A compressor from the 60s, and I think it nails that performance and sound. This takes up 2 rack unit spaces, also looks so cool and vintage. I love the design. It's a steel chassis, it's really tough. It's a pretty gentle compressor and honestly pretty foolproof as well. If you're just getting into outboard compressors or you're pretty new at compression altogether, this is a really good unit to start with, learn on, or if you're a seasoned professional and you just don't have a budget for an LA-2A, this is a really great recreation. It just has the 2 knobs. All you're controlling is peak reduction and output gain. So your attack, your release, the ratio, that's all fixed. But what it's gonna do is give you this really nice, smooth compression to control those peaks. It's a pretty gentle compressor, and honestly, it's just like an LA-2A. It's gonna give you that vintage tube 2-knob compression sound while preserving the tone and the dynamics. It's an optical compressor, so basically there's a side chain of audio that a Kenetek T4B opto attenuator module is responding to. And then the tubes give that warmth and the makeup gain that gets output. And that warmth comes from the sourced components as well. Inside this unit are USA-made CineMag input and output transformers. And then there are premium Tunsol and Electro Harmonics tubes that are providing that makeup gain. Warm Audio just cares so much about the components to make sure they are true recreations. The thing I love about its simplicity is that it's a very musical compressor. It's not going to ruin your source audio by slamming it too hard. So it's going to keep the dynamics of your performance. You still have to work the microphone. It's also going to keep the tone. It's just going to help smooth out those peaks and add warmth. It's musical. Okay, now for interfacing. On the upper right, you can select what the VU meter displays. So I have it set to gain reduction right now. It'll show me how much gain is being reduced. You could also set it to show your output gain plus 4 decibels like this. So now it's going to show me my output gain plus 4 decibels. And all the way left is output gain plus 10 decibels. So you can really make sure you have enough headroom by exaggerating your output gain signal. Below that knob and next to the power switch is the pre-emphasis. So this is basically like a sidechain low-pass filter. It's going to reduce the emphasis on the high frequencies and the transients that the opto module is responding to. So if I have it all the way counterclockwise, it will respond to the entire frequency spectrum, but the more I turn that up, the more it's going to take the transients out so they won't make the compressor respond. All right, back down. We generally talked about these 2 switches. This is output gain. This is going to be the gain that it's sending out of the compressor, the makeup gain from the tubes. And this is peak reduction. It's basically like the threshold. It's going to be determining how much compression to put on the signal depending on how high you turn that up. So this is really compressed. And then if I turn it all the way counterclockwise to 0, that's going to be applying very minimal compression, almost none. Let's turn that back up to a really nice, I like it right about there. So much of this is in your ears too. What sounds good to you? Where do you like the levels? Where do you like all of these settings working together? This switch on the very left is really cool. It's going to change this unit basically from a signal compressor to a hard limiter. Again, it's a fixed ratio, but it's a more intense ratio and it's closer to infinity. So you can really hear it working the harder I drive the peak reduction. That is just going to hard limit that signal. So a lot of different applications you can use this for, whether you're compressing or hard limiting. And then finally, the meter adjust knob on the front just helps you calibrate the unit so that the needle's pointing to 0 when there's no signal coming in or going out. Let's get it back to 0. On the back of this unit, there's an input and a knob that allows you to stereo link 2 WA-2As together to operate in a stereo mode. That is so great for stereo instruments, matched pair microphones, if you're coming out of a dual MPX or a mix bus. Anything that's stereo, you can stereo link 2 of these together. This compressor is just such a great unit to have in your rack to control your peaks and enhance your sound. It's so easy to use, it gives really nice color, and it's really difficult to mess up the audio signal coming out. The WA-2A tube opto compressor by Warm Audio is available at Full Compass for $949. It should be so much more expensive than that for the attention to detail of the components and the sound and the ease and just everything that makes this such a great recreation. But that's what the price is. You need one of these.